Everyone, welcome back to the Preacher and the Prodigy podcast, coming to you from the Diamond Vogel Studios right up here in Pewaukee, Wisconsin. I am the Preacher.
I'm the Prodigy.
We're here with you, ready to talk about major, national, intercontinental, global, not intercontinental college football. And we just are recovering from an incredible week of watching major college football that our primary team, Michigan Wolverines, involved. Had a chance to just kind of be an impartial spectator for everything except the game that happened in Orange City, Iowa. We need to probably just acknowledge congratulations to the Dordt defenders who finally got a win over Northwestern. We thought maybe the world would come to an end in a flaming meteor crash before they did, but no, in fact, it's clear they wanted it more, but really a great comeback, down 17-0, down 20-7. Northwestern couldn't get that one score. We sat there and we said 21 points, or 20 points is not going to win it, 23 is, and that proved to be right. Northwestern gives up just a terrible defensive really performance at the end of that game. Dordt went 94 yards they went about 90 of them in 4 plays.
Yeah.
And then Northwestern looked like they had stopped on third down, and then we couldn't really see it from our angle. It looked like a pretty weak call on pass interference, but you can't do anything about that. And then Northwestern had an opportunity to recover fumble, didn't, and then Dordt scores with 13 seconds left. So congratulations to Dordt. They clearly wanted it more, and They may be the class of the Great Plains Athletic Conference. A little early to see, but Northwestern clearly is taking a step back.
Yeah, it definitely seemed like Northwestern's playing to try not to lose, which they have in these recent years as the games have gotten closer.
Just a couple of high leverage plays we saw. Colby Duncan fumbles the ball backwards.
And Northwestern was getting those high leverage plays early, too. Just
pick six.
It started to teeter towards Dordt getting the bigger plays, and eventually came through, and then winning by a single point.
So zooming out from there, just an epic game in State College, Pennsylvania. Yeah. Oregon wins on a walk-off interception in the second overtime. Drew Aller has a tendency to do this when the game is on the line. He puts the ball in harm's play. Didn't see Purdue transfer Dylan Tiedemann, and Tiedemann just grabbed it.
It wasn't open.
Nope.
Yeah, no, it was just a wheel route.
3 ducks right there.
It was just staring down the whole time. No.
And so it was a great game. It was just like offenses were absolutely shut down until maybe the last 20 minutes or so of game time. It was 3-3 well into the third quarter. Huge win for Dan Lanning, and Penn State is soul searching once again. James Franklin now drops to 4-20 in games against top 10 teams.
4-21 maybe.
4-21. That's 16%. That's not very good. I don't really think Penn State can find a better coach, but they might just be at a kind of a ceiling for that program because of perhaps just the recruiting budget or the way that they view prospects. So it'll be frustrating for Penn State. So my number 1 nationally, Clemson, gacked it up. Number 2, Penn State, not looking as good. But
your number 3?
Number 3 was right Oregon. So yeah, they're in good shape. Texas Tech, who at the beginning of the year has looked pretty solid. And again, one more game, Georgia-Bama. Once again, Bama races out to a pretty healthy lead. No, he doesn't score at all in the second half, but the defense is able to stave off Georgia and win 24-20 between the hedges.
It's Georgia's first home loss in
I think 33
attempts. Yeah, so kudos to the job done that game by Keelan DeBoer.
And now we're just getting into some strange transitive property situations because Bama beats Georgia, FSU beats Bama, Virginia now beats FSU. Somewhere down the line, it's going to end up being like your local community college is better than Georgia.
That was an epic field storm, by the way. That's how you do field storms right.
Yeah, hope everybody's okay. Well, how many stadiums have it where you can actually just be about a foot?
Not a lot.
Right.
A few ACC stadiums here and there, but
yeah, Ohio State really impressed us defensively. We thought that kind of the three-headed monster out there in Washington would put up more than 6 points. You had it a 38-34 game or something like that. I thought it'd be much lower than that, but it was much lower than I thought it was.
It didn't seem like Jed Fish opened the playbook too much for DeMond Williams to really let him play out. And I get that he's not a super experienced quarterback. He's still a little fresh, but
a little conservative in the red zone.
Yeah.
But I think what we saw, with the exception of the Oregon game, is this dynamic we talked about where these West Coast teams coming into the Big Ten just really can't muscle up very well. And
you saw that with USC.
Illinois hung on, actually lost the lead, but kicked the game-winning field goal. So an interesting weekend of college football, but terrible for our records, as both of us went 1-4, just narrowly avoiding wastebasket.
You're still above 500. Yeah, he's at 15-12, and I am at 11-16. So I really got to pick up my game soon. But yeah, we narrowly avoided wastebasket territory.
Yeah, hopefully. It was an interesting weekend, and the polls are now kind of moving with a lot of variability as information and data comes in on the team. So who really is the fifth best team in the country, the fourth best team? Seems like Ohio State and Oregon are up there clearly. Miami has a good resume, but LSU goes down to defeat at Ole Miss in the Magnolia Bowl, apparently. So there's a lot of football left. We may not have an undefeated team going into the playoffs like we did last year with Oregon. We'll see.
We shall see.
But we're heading now into the week 6. We're recording this early in the week, so if your line numbers look different than ours, they may have adjusted based on betting trends in the course of the week. But let's jump in here with our 5 games to pick.
Yeah, our first game.
5 games in week 6.
Like we said, it's not going to be as great of a slate this week as it was last week. Start off down in Lincoln, Nebraska, where the Huskers will be hosting.
Named after our 16th president.
Will be hosting Michigan State Spartans. Nebraska is favored by 10.5. Michigan State has looked better, at least offensively, than I think both of us thought they would throughout the course of the year. Nebraska has not looked up to standard to what I believed that they could have been at the beginning of this year. 3 o'clock kick. Nebraska minus 10.5. Who do you like?
I'm going to take Michigan State to cover, Nebraska to win. Feels like another one of those one-score games for Nebraska. This time they come out on the winning end. I see this, in that 31-23 kind of a range, but I'm going to take the Michigan State to cover in a Nebraska win.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Nebraska. I'm going to stick with what I said at the beginning of the year. I still think Nebraska is very good. It's just a great win by Michigan going to Lincoln on week 4. I still like Nebraska. I think they do things right there. I think Rayola is going to have a big game, especially against the pass defense of Michigan State that hasn't been that great in recent years. I think this could be competitive early, but I think that Nebraska gets it done at home. Give me Nebraska 38-24. 38-24. I think it's going to be a day for Rayola.
Okay.
We disagree. For the bajillionth time this year, we're going to pick the Florida football game because they've had an absurd schedule. I promise it'll get a little bit less Floridian, a little bit less sunshine up here in Wisconsin, but we will pick the Florida game this week. They are hosting Texas, so it is a notable game. Texas 3-1. They got a first place vote in the coaches poll, which doesn't make a lot of sense.
We just saw that, but I guess the logic is that they played Ohio State within a touchdown in Columbus, and based on everything else we've seen with Ohio State, they're really, really good. So I guess the thought would be, in the voters' mind, who's probably Steve Sarkisian's wife, that if they put in a neutral field, Texas would win. I don't see how you can vote Texas number 1, but such is life.
Nevertheless, Vegas still seems to be going with interesting lines, teams playing against Florida. Now it's Texas minus 7. We just had LSU minus 7 a few weeks ago when LSU covered. Now it's Texas minus 7, although it is in Ben Hill Griffin Stadium. So Arch will be going on the road again for the second time this year. 2:30 kick. I think I got to go with Texas. It's difficult for me to see.
Texas is your number 1.
Yeah, I know. It's difficult for me to see Florida keeping this game within 7 because I could see it a 7-point game, but that would be a push. Can't pick that. So I like Texas cover. I think it's more likely Texas wins by more than 7 than Florida keeps it close throughout this game. So give me the Horns to cover.
I agree. I think both teams are a little bit disappointed this year. I think Texas is a better team. Florida, again, I mean, how long can you say it? They're playing with desperation. We have now seen another coach fired. Sam Pittman from Arkansas lost his job.
Bobby Petrino's back.
Bobby Petrino just doing the loops. Next year he'll be the coach of the Falcons again. That's just Bobby Petrino's life. He's just Groundhog Day. I think that Texas is considerably better than Florida, and so I think Texas will win. But I don't know. I guess I've been somewhat impressed with Florida's defense, just being able to hang on for dear life with clearly a half of a team. But I'm going to take Texas, and I think perhaps this time the doors kind of get blown off a little bit for Florida.
Maybe a wake up. We'd say Napier could get fired in a week, and we really don't know when he's going to get fired, if at all.
Let the Cignetti era in Gainesville begin.
All right, Bama heading back home to Bryant-Denny, where they'll be hosting your number 4 team in the land, the Vanderbilt Commodores.
And I can't believe we'll ever say this, but a revenge game.
A revenge of arguably the biggest upset this decade. Alabama looking to pay back for what Vanderbilt did in just a crazy... at the end of the year, teams were a little bit closer than we imagined, but just the brands. I mean, Vanderbilt beating Bama, something we never thought would happen. Vanderbilt is a plus 10.5, same as the Nebraska game. Alabama, yes, is hosting, coming off the win against Georgia, so maybe a letdown game. But Vandy has looked very solid, at least offensively, throughout this year.
This feels like the easiest game of the week for me to pick. I'm going to take Bama. I think things are going to revert back to the mean here. Vanderbilt, very, very impressive so far. Clark Lee on a lot of coaching hot boards and will be on more because of what he's done with far less talent than teams he's played. Right. But I think Bama wins this game by 3 touchdowns.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think a lot of fireworks to this game. Ryan Williams maybe has a day. Just Vanderbilt's defense, at least throughout this year, has not looked that good. And I think Ty Simpson could really, make a push, maybe not on Heisman boards right now, but maybe get in the conversation at least a little bit for top 10 and make a push towards the end of the year. I got Bama crushing the Vanderbilt Commodores at home.
We concur.
Doak Campbell Stadium, Florida State hosting Miami, another Florida game. This is a night game. Florida State coming off the just crazy fireworks barn burner loss against Virginia. Mm-hmm. Now hosting the number 3 team in the land. Just can we take a moment and realize the job that Mario Cristobal has done from a Miami team that could not fill out its stands? I mean, that was losing these games to much lower tier opponents in 2021 to now being the number 3 team in the land, doing everything right, playing physical football. Down south, Canes are favored by 5.5. This is anywhere from 5 to 6. It doesn't really matter in terms of football terms. The median line I could find is 5.5. Night game at Doak.
Let me ask you this before I give my pick. Right now, do you think that the Miami Hurricanes are in the Final Four at the end of the season?
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah. I just think that when we look at the teams at the top of the college football world as it pertains right now, Miami has a top 4 offensive and defensive line combo, and I think that is incredibly powerful, especially at the college level, to have an offensive line that will consistently move defensive lines and have a defensive line that will consistently get pressure and get in the backfield. I see that with Miami, and I also see the job that their defensive coordinator has done in mixing up the defenses, getting pressure, sending extra guys on the defensive line occasionally isn't getting to the quarterback. I just love what's being done in Miami right now. I think they're in the Final Four for sure. And that leads me to my pick. I like Miami to cover 5.5. I think that Florida State, this could be a bounce back game. I just think when it comes down to it, who do I trust more? Do I trust Miami? Do I trust Carson Beck and a Mario Cristobal run offense and a running team, physical team? Or do I trust Tommy Castellanos, who is on and off? His highs are really high and his lows are really low. To me, when it comes down to it, I like Miami to cover and win this game, probably 28-17.
Give me that Yako's home dog of the week. I'm taking Florida State to win the game outright.
Wow.
I remember a lot of these games back in the 90s come down to a field goal. I think Florida State, I think Miami misses a field goal to win. Florida State hangs on and wins and don't gamble. Regardless, give me the points. I'm not convinced about Miami yet. I think if they played Notre Dame tomorrow again, I think Notre Dame could easily win that game. So I think Florida State at home, at night, crowd's going to be into it. A lot of emotion in this game. Miami has not left their building, I don't believe. And so I'm going to take the Florida State Seminoles to win the game. Regardless, give me those points.
I can see it. All right, final game of the week, Michigan game. 11 o'clock kickoff on Fox, where they'll be hosting the, right now, dreadful Wisconsin Badgers. Luke Fickell just not getting any traction with his rebuild of the Badgers. Michigan hosting, and they are favored by, you were really surprised at this, 16.5, which is...
even more than that. One of the power indices has Michigan has a 99.34% chance of winning this game.
Where were you looking?
Yeah, I'll show it to you.
Wow, that is...
I think it may be SP Plus or something like that, but I'm like, what in the world? I did not see that, man. I got to go first. I'm going to take the Badgers to cover here. There's one thing that Wisconsin does pretty well, and that's they stop the run. They're not good at anything else, but that's what Michigan will try to do. They're going to have to pass the ball. I think Michigan does win the game, but it's not that comfortable 17-point win that we would like to see. I think it's probably more like a 31-20 or something. Billy Edwards should be back. I don't know how healthy he'll be, but could be a shot in the arm there. Again, sort of a caged dog mentality with Wisconsin. They're fighting for Fickell's job. I'm going to take Michigan to win, but not by that many points.
Yeah,
give me the Badgers.
I'm definitely with you here. The other thing Wisconsin does really well is they possess the ball, and that is something that Michigan this year has not done very well. So we could see a lot of Wisconsin offense out there. Billy Edwards, and that it's not
shrinking the game,
right? And that's not a recipe to cover, plus or 2+ touchdowns. So I also like Wisconsin. I think it's never in doubt. I think Michigan handles their business here. Doesn't really mess around, but with how few possessions this game there's going to be, I think Wisconsin's going to cover 16.5. So.
Yeah, probably the kind of game Michigan gets to a 14-0 lead, and then they just kind of keep it at that, 11, 13, 8-point lead. So it doesn't. It's not a nail biter, but nobody's sitting back. Just no one is going outside to grill and skipping plays. So I think Wisconsin. Yeah. I think Wisconsin has a good game here. I think Michigan is a better team, but I don't like the 99% chance of winning. Is like I don't see that at all.
A lot of dual runs for Haynes and Marshall and Cozell eventually in the backfield, I can see. But over-unders at 41.5, so definitely a lower scoring game. But yeah, they do see fewer possessions. But
so Vegas says it like 28-13 or something like that. 29-13.
Yeah, I could see it. I think 13 is a little high for, like, we talked about how few possessions each team is going to get. I think 13 is high if they're assuming a touchdown and 2 field goals, because Michigan has done very well on defense this year when stupid things haven't happened, like in Nebraska, where Nebraska had a whole drive helped by penalties or a Hail Mary.
But the interesting thing about Michigan is how many touchdowns do they have from like inside of the 10?
Very few.
They got a couple, but most of the times they're scoring from distance.
Yeah,
and so again, that means Michigan doesn't possess the ball maybe that long either. But I do think it's a day in which Bryce Underwood takes that next step in the evolution that now so many people are on board with to become really a very special kind of player. That word generational gets tossed around a lot, and it's way too early to say that. But I think a generational guy is like a once every 25 years. So like, who is a generational guy? Like maybe like Michael Vick is a generational guy. Tyrann Mathieu, a generational guy.
Reggie Bush
is like who? If you have like an all half century team, those are your generational guys. But so the fact that people say there's a generational guy every year is just not really. So I think that Michigan will win, but we will see about that line. That's all we have for this week. We got a lot of look back this week, and not as much looking forward. But we're coming toward the midway point of the season already, believe it or not. And so who's right now? We already said that Miami's in it. Give me your Final Four right now. I mean, seeding will make this probably not possible. But who are your top 4 teams?
Well, I know my top 3 for sure. Ohio State's looked a lot better than I thought they would. Their defense hasn't taken any steps back, which I also thought they would. And Julian Sand looks very comfortable. I think Ohio State, I think Oregon, we've already mentioned, is looking so good right now. I think they're the best team in the country, went strictly off of eye test when it comes to that. And number 3 would be Miami. Number 4 is where it gets interesting for me. I would have to probably look at more scheduling to see, who can go through it and get out, their meaty middles or their tough stretches and, get built up for the end of the year and who just has cupcakes the rest of the way. So I have a 3. My 3. My 4, I'd have to look a little bit harder. I could see Oklahoma jumping in there when Mateer gets healthy. If they make it through enough games unscathed, I think A&M, although they haven't passed the eye test, is winning the games that they need to win. And they look solid.
And I think just a low-key but significant win was Indiana going on the road to Iowa. You can make a case Indiana's one of the best 4 teams in the country as well.
They look very good.
They do have to play at Oregon and they play at Penn State. So that was a very losable game at Iowa, but they managed to make the play at the end and win. So I don't know. You can make the case there. Yeah, I think you can make a case for Oklahoma.
Ole Miss is number 4 right now.
Yeah, I just don't think they're going to finish there, but we'll see. A lot of football left to be played.
Woo.
Until next time, I'm the Preacher.
Prodigy. Peace.
Goodbye, y'all. Oops, that's the wrong button. Peace.